नमस्कारः महोदय।
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः. We were looking at the seventh Vakya in the fourth chapter, third Brahmana, which is the Swayam Jyotir Brahmanam. Here, Yajnavalkya is teaching Janaka and trying to show him this Atma is Deha and Indriya and Manas and Buddhi, all this Vyatiriktah, correct? It is separate from this physical body, senses, mind, intellect, and it is in the form of a light, Jyotis. Now the word Jyotis is used here, light, to show that all activities happen in the presence of something, correct? That is called light here. Or you can say in the presence of which cognition is possible, correct? That's how we define this light. It is not to say that Atma itself is some kind of a light which is glowing and all that, correct? Because some people, then seriously, if you say that it is an Antar Jyoti or something like that, you say that Atma is inner light, for example, then there are people who meditate, correct? They will say that I saw some light in meditation. In the white heat of meditation, some light is visible, or many people see lights while doing meditation. And somehow they think that seeing lights is something great. Just seeing light in meditation doesn't mean anything, correct? Of course, if you meditate for a long time, different experiences and seeing lights, etc., will happen. It's not a big deal. But we are not talking about light in that sense here. Atma as a light or Jyotihi is to only say that in whose presence alone cognition takes place. Now in the Jagrad Avastha, for cognition to take place and then based on that activities to happen, we saw that first it was said that sun, in the presence of sun, everything happens, which is true. If sun is not there, moon is there. If moon is not there, Agni, fire is there. If none of them are there, still other indriyas can be used to cognize, correct, and do activities. Even in pitch dark, where no light is there and your eyes are not able to do something, even blind people are active using other sense organs, so they become the light. So when we say light here, even sense organs are called light, correct, because they help you to do the activities. Now even when the sense organs are resolved, like in dream, then what is the light? That is the question. And then that it is said that Atma itself is the light. That's what we saw in the sixth Vakya. And then, so what Bhashyakara did in the sixth 436 Bhashya, there was a big Bhashya, correct? So in that Bhashyakara actually made a Anumana. So he created an Anumana based on the first 6 or first 5 and used it in the sixth to show that Atma is something separate from body mind sense complex, and it is not external, it is internal, and it is abhautika also. It is not elemental. It is not made up of any bhutas, panchabhuta, like the sun, etc. Sun, moon and all are all bhautika. But this Atma is abhautika because it is indriya agochara. It is not known by the indriyas. Like this, one Anumana was made based on the first 5 Vakyas themselves. He created all this Vyapti and all that. Okay, because like in waking is taken as the Drishtanta here. So like in waking, the Wherever there is activity, there is a light which is other than the body mind sense complex. Okay, like this he made this Anumana, and he argued with the Charvakas. Basically, the 436 Bhashya was the argument with Charvaka, who said that the body itself is consciousness. Consciousness is either a property of the body or it is inherent in the body and all that. You don't have to posit, or you don't have to propose a consciousness other than the body mind sense complex is their argument, which Bhashyakara effectively refuted. Okay, we saw that using logic only, because Charvakas are not Vedikas, so we cannot give them the Veda Pramana. So Bhashyakara used an Anumana and then showed their whatever their theory is wrong and how this Anumana is still valid and all that. That much we have already seen. Now in the seventh one, basically Janaka is asking Katamaha Atma, but still Janaka has some doubt. Katamaha means amongst these. Kataraha means amongst the two. Katamaha means amongst many things. Here, because there is a physical body, Indriyas, Prana, Manas, etc. are there. What is this Atma? Still, there is a doubt in his mind. Okay, so that's what he is answering now, Yajnavalkya. So, Yoyam Vijnanamaya. Now, this Vijnanamaya word only we saw in the last class, the Bhashya for that. So, finally, what Bhashyakara says is that it is Vijnana Prayatvam. That is the meaning he gives. Okay. So, the Vijnana Prayatvam eva, like this. Because others give the meaning of, you can give the modification also as a meaning for the Mayat Pratyaya. So, but that is not the meaning here. Okay. So, Prayatvam means basically it is almost like, you can say, or as though. That is the meaning. So, why this Atma is called Vijnana Mayaha is because the Vijnana Maya term has been used even before in Brhadaranyaka itself. If you remember, in the Ajatashatru Brahmana also we have seen that. So the Vijnana Maya means we take it as the Jivatma. The individual conscious being is called Vijnana Mayaha. That is because the individual conscious being is not separate from the body mind sense complex, correct? Particularly the first identification is with the intellect. That Bhashyakara will say later, we'll see that. So the buddhi is where this consciousness is available, correct? Or it is obtained, we have to say. Although we say that Hridyantar and all is used here, even there we have to be careful in understanding this Hridyantar. Bhashyakara is going to talk about that, correct? In fact, he already talked about it. So Hridyantaha iti vachanat yuktam vijnana prayatam eva. This is what we saw in the last class finally, I think. So basically, this Atma is called as Vijnana Mayaha, and that Vijnana Maya itself is Hridyantaha, means what? It is inside the Hridaya. Hridaya itself is considered as the intellect only here, although Hridaya generally means the physical heart. But physical heart itself is taken as the seat of intellect and mind generally, because heartfelt thanks and things like that we say, even today in language it is there, correct? Even in English it is there, heartfelt. Or we, if you take an oath or something, we keep the hand on our heart, etc. So heart is considered in general to be the seat of the mind and intellect, not brain. Although brain is considered very important nowadays, but even now, in normally we say the heart for any feeling and all that, heart is the seat. And Shastra also uses the word heart for the intellect. Bhashyakara interprets it as intellect only everywhere. So Hridyantaha means inside your intellect, it is there, but it is identified with your intellect. It is almost like the intellect, because only where the intellect is there, this consciousness is manifest, we have to say. It is not that it is located inside the brain or anything, or a heart or intellect. That is because if you say like that, then you are limiting the consciousness itself, correct? Consciousness is not limited. Understand that. If consciousness is all pervading, that is said even in this Vakya, correct? When it says, when the Upanishad says Purushaha, So the Purushaha is Puranat Purushaha, correct? That which is all pervasive, that which fills up everything, that is this Atma. The Atma is called Purushaha here, and it is Hridyantar Jyotihi also. It is Vijnanamayaha. Okay. Praneshu Hridyantar Jyotihi, all these things are said here. So this Vijnanamayaha cannot be a modification of Vijnana. That Bhashyakara is very clear. Okay. That's why he says it is almost like your Buddhi. Because in Buddhi only this consciousness is manifest, and Buddhi and consciousness are taken as one by those who do not have discrimination. Is that clear? So the Jivatma or the individual conscious being is identified with the Buddhi or intellect. That is because this consciousness is manifesting there. That is the important thing you have to understand here. That's why the Vijnana Maya word is used. And the Jivatma itself is not separate from Paramatma. Understand that. The individual conscious being is the consciousness alone. But since the individual conscious being is identified with a particular body mind sense complex, then the whole thing starts, correct? Therefore, the confusion, samsara, everything is there. So you cannot separate out the jiva from a particular intellect to start with. So that's why it is, you have to say that Atma, which is identified with intellect. It is like identifying fire or heat with water sometimes, correct? You have hot water. If somebody doesn't know the difference between water and heat, they may think that heat itself is hot water only, correct? But if hot water is really all, if its nature is to be hot, or heat itself is its nature, it should always be there. But if you just keep the hot water, it will not be hot, correct? You have to put it in a flask or something. From that only we know that the heat in the water is not really its quality or anything. The heat may be available in the water for some time, or it is obtaining in the water for some time, but it is not its nature. Or even like a tapta ayaf pindavat and all also is said, correct? There can be a red hot iron ball or something, but that iron piece which is red hot is not, the heat is not its nature. If you keep it for some time, that heat will dissipate, correct? It will go away. But the one who is not able to differentiate between the fire and the whatever fire which is available in the red hot iron piece will think that itself is this, correct? There is no discriminatory knowledge. So that's why the Vijnana Prayatva means it is almost, it is like, it is as though, this is the meaning we have to take. So that is the meaning Bhashyakara gives here. Okay. And then he goes to the next word, Praneshu. So in the original Vakya, we saw that after Vijnanamayaha, Praneshu is there. So now he is explaining. From this, Yajnavalkya is teaching our Janaka that Atma is not this, all these Indriyas also. Because Prana here means all the Indriyas, not just the Pancha Prana or anything. Indriyas also are included. By Vijnana Mayaha and Hridyantar Jyotihi, we also know that it is not the mind and intellect. Okay, so it is none of these things. That is getting very clear here. So now Bhashyakara gives a beautiful, the seventh case is there here, correct? Locative, Praneshu. So but he is not taking it as a literal location. Understand that. Okay, so here let us see. So what is the meaning he is giving? Praneshu iti Vyatireka Pradashanartha Saptami, he says. Okay. So Vyatireka Pradashanartha means what? That which says something is separate from all other things. Because if you say I am amongst others, I am separate from others, correct? That separation is implied there. So that separation alone is the main meaning here. It's not that Atma is located in the Indriyas or anything. Again, if we literally take locative meaning there, then Atma itself will become limited and it is only there and all that. That's not the idea here. So he is very careful the way he is interpreting. You can see here, Vetireka Pradarshanartha Saptami. So the Saptami in Praneshu, the Atma is amongst the Indriyas. Means basically to show that Atma is not the Indriya, it is amongst them, but it is not that, correct? It is separate, it is different. Vetireka Pradarshanartha Saptami, Yatha, he is now giving a meaning, he is now giving an analogy. Yatha Vriksheshu Pashana iti Samipya Lakshana. Okay, another thing also he is pointing out. It is also near. The Atma is very near. Atma is near to everything, in fact, as consciousness. But anyway, it is very, very close to all the Indriyas. And therefore, it is, but still it is separate. Okay. So the analogy is giving is Vriksheshu Pashana, means the stones amongst the trees, if we say, it's not that the stone is there on the tree like a locative seventh case. You understand? It is amongst means it is near. The stone is near the trees. So we are saying the stone amongst the trees. Like this, the usage is there. Seventh case you can still use. Okay. So Vriksheshu Pashanaha means the rocks or stones amongst the trees. Means the stones are near the trees. That is the meaning for that. Samipya Lakshana. So it is separate and it is near. Those two meanings only we have to take here, not literally the locative case. Like saying water is in pot means water is located within the pot, literally, correct? This is not locative like that. That's what we have to understand. So praneshu hi vetireka avyatirekata sandihyata atmanaha. So why is it said? Because originally katamaha, when he asked, the question was Atma, which amongst these are Atma, correct? In that the Indriyas are also included. Now by saying it is amongst the Indriyas, now Yajnavalkya has answered one part of the question of Janaka, that it is amongst means it is not the Indriyas, correct? It is separate. Because there is already a doubt whether Atma is the same as Indriyas or it is separate. So that's what he is saying. Praneshu hi vetireka avyatirekata sandihyata atmanaha. So there is a doubt with reference to the Atma, whether it is separate or non-separate, okay, between amongst these whatever indriyas which are there, and there, but it is separate. So praneshu pranebhyaha vyatirektaha ityarthaha. By saying praneshu, we are saying that it is different from all the indriyas. Not only that, what? Yo hi yeshu bhavati sa tad vyatirektaha bhavati eva. So now he is giving a general principle. Whatever is there amongst some other things, it has to be separate from those things, correct? That's what yohi yeshu bhavati sa tad vyatirektaha bhavati eva. It is indeed separate. Therefore, what? Yatha pashaneshu vriksha. Now he is giving another, the same analogy is giving ulta. He is saying the tree amongst the rocks also means the tree is near the rocks, correct? Or it is in between the rocks and all that. But it is separate. It is different from the rocks. So like this, basically by saying amongst the pranas, Atma has been separated out. And further, Hridi, in the heart. Now, Hrid also, Bhashyakara is going to give the meaning. Tatra etat syat praneshu pranajatiya jatiya eva buddhihi syaditi atahaha. So, also there can be a doubt. If it is not Indriya, it can still be the intellect, correct? It can be the intellect, which is, or it can be the mind, because they are all similar. Samana jatiya, correct? Prana jatiya eva. They are all of the same jati. And so why can't it be buddhihi? Hridi is buddhi. In the buddhi we can take. But again, but it is not the buddhi itself. It is inside the buddhi. So it is not the buddhi, but it is available or obtained. It obtains or it is manifest in the buddhi. That's what we have to understand. Hridyantariti. Again, this antar shabda we have to understand correctly. As I told you already, it is not locative idea that it is inside the intellect, means it is there inside only, like the water in the pot. That's not the meaning here. Basically, we have to In fact, similar meaning we also dealt with in detail in the Pravesha Shruti, correct? Because if you say somebody is there in a room, normally what is the problem? That person is there only in that room means he is not there outside, and all that meanings will come, correct? There are implications for saying somebody is there in some place means they are not there in other places, like that implication is there. But in the case of Chaitanyam, you cannot make any of those, you cannot take any of those meanings. Chaitanya is everywhere, but still it is there in the heart means what? It is available. That's all. It is available, it obtains there, it is manifest there explicitly, we have to say. In fact, similar meaning was given even for entry, correct? Because when we said that this this Brahman alone enters, correct? Sa iha pravishtaha, like that we saw in, I don't know whether you remember now, in 147 itself we saw that Pravesha Shruti, where there was a big discussion was there. How can Atma enter anywhere? Because if it is there everywhere, how can it enter somewhere? So finally, Bhashyakara gave the meaning that the entry itself is only indicating that it is available there. That's all. Okay, it is available there. Similarly, here also, Hridya Antaha means Atma is available there. This Atma Jyoti is available there. It's not that it is restricted only there or it is only available there, etc. It is there everywhere, but it is available there especially. That's all is the meaning here. So, we can see this. Ataha hridyantariti. So it is not the buddhi, but it is, therefore it says that it is there within the buddhi. Hrid shabdena pundarika akaraha mamsa pindaha. Now he explains what is this hrid. Okay. So this hrid, this means hridaya only. It is the lotus shaped muscle in your body. Tatstyat buddhihi hrit. And because the buddhi itself is there, the intellect is identified with the heart only in our Shastra. So we say the mind and intellect are all, they are actually there in the heart. Therefore, tatsthyat means wherever, since buddhi itself is there in the heart, buddhi also is called hrit. So tatsthyat buddhihi hrit tasyam hridi, and there in that means hridi means in that means buddhau, in the intellect. That is the meaning. Hridi is in the intellect. Then antariti. So buddhi vritti vritireka pradarsanartham. See, antariti means specially it is in the buddhi also we can say. But again, the antar specifically says that it is different from the modifications of the intellect also. It is in the intellect, but it is not a modification of intellect or anything like that. So antariti buddhi vritti vyatireka pradarsanartham. So the antar word also, it is inside in the buddhi, like that it is said. It is in the buddhi and it is further inner also to that. Okay, means it is separate from the all the whatever vritti which is happening in the mind and intellect. All the modifications of the intellect also, it is separate from that. It is not just a modification of. Sometimes if you say it is in the intellect, it can be taken as a part of the intellect also, correct? Or it can be taken as a modification of the intellect. But this is not so. Like I can say, like my knee is there in my leg, correct? It's not like that. So it is separate. Also has to be shown. So the antar has a meaning there. It is the one which is showing the vyatireka again from the buddhi. So jyotihi avabhasakatvat atma uchyate, and jyotir meaning also he gives again. Because like I said even in the beginning, the word light itself can be misinterpreted and people can confuse meditation, looking inside and they are looking for some light and all that physically. That's not the idea here. Jyoti means it is lighting up everything. It is the one in whose presence all cognition takes place. Everything becomes evident to this Atma. Therefore, it is the one which is making everything shine. Okay. So avabhasakatva, that's all. It is the one which shines. Therefore, Atma is called Jyotihi because in its presence alone. all cognition takes place, everything is known. It is the one which is lighting up in that manner. Therefore, it is called light. Tena hi avabhasakena atmana jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute. So now again he goes back to that originally what was said. So to define this light, Yajnavalkya used these terms, correct? So in the light of Atma alone, one sits, one roams around, one does all activities and all that. So Chetanavan iva hi ayam karyakarana pindaha yata aditya prakashastha ghataha yata va marakatadihi manihi kshiradi dravye prakshiptaha parikshanaya. So in the light of this Atma only, everything happens. Okay. And in fact, the body mind sense complex only is doing the activity, but Atma itself is not doing anything. Atma is just the light. But in the presence of that light, the body mind sense complex, as though it is conscious, correct? Chetanavan iva, like this Bhashyakara says. Because our confusion is we think that body is conscious, mind is conscious, Indriyas are conscious. Correct? The Atma Dharma, we are superimposing, we are doing Adhyaropa on the Anatma. And then the Anatma we are taking as Atma. So this is the Anyonya Adhyasa which is happening. The mutual superimposition happens and then all the problem starts from there. So he is pointing out that. He says, Chetanavan iva hi ayam karyakarana pindaha. This karyakarana pindaha, this body, which is made up of physical body and then the senses and mind, etc., it is taken as though it is conscious. Like even he is giving other analogies to explain that what yata aditya prakashastha ghataha. So even a pot, if you keep in very bright sunlight, it will look as though it is shining. Correct? The pot can shine. Pot doesn't have any shine of its own normally. But if you see in this our given clay pot, when you have burnt it properly and it is having that nice red color, correct? And if you keep it, or even the ghata they play in the concert and all that, correct? It has a certain shine. The shine is not its own. Basically, if you keep it in some bright light, it will shine. Okay. So like that, or yatava marakatadihi manihi kshiradi dravya prakshiptaha parikshanaya. Means normally in those days or even now they may do it. If you want to test for a genuine gem like an emerald and all that, how do we test it? They had this test of putting it into milk. If it is a genuine gem, okay, it is not some fake, then it will shine and give its color to the milk. In fact, the milk itself will be shining like it is green. Milk doesn't have any greenness of its own. But if you put this emerald into the milk, milk will turn or milk will be in green color because the emerald gives its own color to the milk. Like this, the Atma alone is conscious, it is Chaitanyam. But its Chaitanya is mistakenly attributed to the body mind sense complex because the body in the presence of the consciousness acts as though it is conscious, correct? It is aware and all that. It responds to stimuli. So that is the idea here. So Atma Chayam eva tat kshiradi dravyam karoti. So this Atma Chaya means its own shine it gives to the milk, the emerald, etc. Similarly, tadrig etad Atma Jyotihi बुद्धेः अपि हृदयात् सूक्ष्मत्वात् हृद्यन्तस्थमपि हृदयादिकं कार्यकरणसङ्गातं च एकीकृत्य आत्मज्योतिश्छायां करोति. So this Atma which is there, okay, inside the buddhi itself, correct? Buddhehe api hridayat sukshmatvat, and it is subtler than even the intellect, even the mind. It is the subtlest. It is sukshma, and then it is hridyantastham api. It is inside this heart, inner to even this buddhi, and being there what hridayadikam karyakarna sangatam. So hridaya etc. This karyakarna sangata, the body mind sense complex, ekikritya, no, to all of them together, what Atma Jyotis Chayam Karoti means what? It gives its own shine to all these things, means it makes this body, mind, sense complex conscious. And how does it make? Parampariyena sukshma stula taratamyat, he says, sarvantara tamatvad. Since the Atma is the innermost, again in a certain order it is doing that. Because the buddhi is the most subtle. First, buddhi only gains this consciousness, or consciousness manifests there first. Then mind is near the buddhi, so mind also manifests the consciousness. Then from the mind, the indriyas manifest the consciousness. Indriyas are also conscious, correct? They help you in cognizing things. And then the body, physical body also is conscious, because the sense of touch and all is there all over the body. That indriya is pervading all over the body. So body also appears to be conscious. So like this, the taratamya is there. Sukshma stula taratamyat sarvantara tamatvat parampariyena means in a certain order, correct? In a series, it is giving its own, this consciousness is manifest through all these things. And further what? Buddhistavat swachhatvat anantaryacha atma chaitanya jyoti pratichayam bhavati. So Buddhi is, or the mind itself is called sattva also, correct? It is from the sattva guna of all the mahabhutas, means it is very clear. It is able, clarity is talked about here, because this atma chaya means basically it is like a pratibimba only, correct? It's like a reflection. You can call it a reflection, or there are two vadas are there, pratibimba vada, abhasa vada and all. Okay, abhasa means basically a distortion and all that, you can say. Or pratibimba means it is a reflection. Both are in fact somewhat similar, but there are some technical differences in how the explanations are given. But basically here Bhashyakara says pratichaya and all is the word he is using. It is like a pratibimba only. So buddhi is the first thing which reflects, because it is the clearest. It is the clearest medium. And it is the innermost also. So the Atma first is manifest there. So Atma Chaitanya Jyotihi Pratichaya Bhavati. So it is the one which reflects the Atma Chaitanyam first, or the Atma Chaitanya manifests first in the Buddhi. And then what? Therefore what? He says, Tenahi Vivekinam Abhi Tatra Atma Abhimana Buddhihi Prathama. So even those who are wise people, who have certain discrimination also, for them also the Atma Abhimana, where does it start from? Means from the Buddhi alone. Buddhi is the first thing where the Abhimana is there, that I sense. Because the Buddhi is not really I. Buddhi also is whatever is happening in the Buddhi is known to you, correct? You are the knower of even the activities of the Buddhi. But still, what is the first identification? I am a knower, if you think. Then you are identified with the Buddhi. As a knower, your identification with the Buddhi is there. And that is where first you become a knower. Then only you become the doer and all that. So the identification with the Buddhi is the first. There is Atma Abhimana is there. You place your eye on the Buddhi first. That's where Ahankara also starts, correct? So Atma Abhimana Buddhi Prathama. Even Vivekinam api, even for Viveki, Purushaha, those who have discrimination. And then what? Tataha api anantaryat manasi. Okay. Chaitanya avabhasata. Then what? Then in the mind also. Next. Okay. So after the buddhi is manifest. Because the mind is connected to the buddhi. Buddhi samparkat, he says. Mind and intellect are connected, or sometimes we talk about it as a single entity, correct? As antahkarana and all that. Even the word mind itself is used sometimes to mean both intellect and mind. So buddhi samparkat, chaitanya avabhasata, manasi, then what? Tata indriyeshu, then it goes to the indriyas. Manas sanyogat, because indriyas are all connected to the mind. The indriyas can reveal to you something only if they are connected to the mind, correct? If the mind does not back up the indriya, even though there are all other things are all conducive for cognition to take place, Cognition may not take place if they are not connected to the mind. So manas sanyogat indriyeshu. And then thereafter, tataha anantaram, after that what? Sharire, even in the body, because body is connected with the indriyas. Of course, that twag indriya is there all over the body. That way also, one indriya is there everywhere. Other indriyas are also, they have their own golakas and all that, correct? Eyes, etc. So, like this, the body mind sense complex appears to be conscious. Okay. Okay, so that is the important Chaitanyavan Iva. It is. So Indriya Samparkat. Therefore, what evam parampariyena kritsnam karyakarna sanghatam atma Chaitanya Swarupa Jyotisha avabhasayati. Therefore, in this manner, one by one, parampariyena, the entire kritsnam karyakarna sanghatam, this entire body mind sense complex, okay, atma Chaitanya Swarupa Jyotisha avabhasayati. So this Atma lights up this entire body mind sense complex in the form of the Chaitanya, in the form of the Chaitanya, the light of consciousness. Okay? With the light of consciousness, this self only lights up your entire body mind sense complex, and because of which it appears to be conscious. So tena hi sarvasya lokasya karyakarana sanghate tad vrittijusha aniyeta atma abhimana buddhi yatha vivekam jayate. So because of this only what? In all the people, sarvasya lokasya in general, for everybody. So there is a atma buddhi is there, correct? Atma abhimana buddhi. That's what I say. Identify, you place your eye on these things. Where? Karya karna sanghate tad vrittishu. So in the body mind sense complex and their modifications, like mind also, mind modify. There are modifications of mind, and in that also consciousness is manifest, and based on that we have a certain identity and all that. So we place our eye on these body mind sense complex and their modifications, that vrittishucha. And how long it is means aniyata. Means aniyata means it is indefinite. There is no definite. Niyatam means something definite. Here it is indefinite, because the samsara itself is going on from life to death to life to death and all that, correct? So many lifetimes. So indefinitely it keeps on going depending on your viveka, he says. Yatha vivekam jayate. This abhimana buddhi is born because of actually you not having the viveka buddhi only, and until the time you have the viveka buddhi, it will keep on going. Or some people have certain viveka buddhi that I am not the body, but they still may have identification with reference to their mind and all that. Even in this case also they will have to take another birth, etc. Correct? So there is a this birth and death and again rebirth, etc. is happening. All this is happening to the individual, and the individual itself is identified with the first with the intellect, and that only actually because of that identification only all these things are happening. Okay, Atma itself is not having any birth or death or any rebirth or anything. Understand that Atma is as it is. It is just there. It is present always. Since it is present always, it can be mistaken always also. That is the idea. So tatacha bhagavata uktam Gita. So even in the Gita, Bhagavan has said the same thing. So now he is quoting the Gita. Yatha prakashayatyekaha kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tata kritsnam prakashayati bharata. 13th chapter. So Bhagavan gives this analogy that there is only one sun, but that one sun lights up this entire world. Similarly, the kshetri, kshetrajnaha or kshetri, correct? The one who is obtaining in this body, and or you can call it as the owner of the body and all that, correct? The one who is in the body, the dehi, who is the kshetrajnaha also, or who is the knower of this deha also, or the kshetra. Kshetri, kritsnam kshetram. This is where the beauty. There is only one kshetri, okay, who lights up all the kshetras, correct? All kritsnam kshetram prakashayati. So normally people think that there are many consciousnesses in each body and all that. But there is no proof. You can never see the consciousness, correct? The problem with consciousness is it is not available for perception. we only infer it based on some activity and all that. You do go and do something, you poke somebody, and if they respond, then you think that consciousness is there. If that fellow never responds, then gone. Correct? You have to only take for funeral. So we only infer. Consciousness as a thing can never be seen. So you cannot establish based on perception whether there is one consciousness or many consciousness and all that. Because nobody has seen the consciousness, cannot be seen also. In fact, it is always the subject. It can never be objectified. That is another problem. So we have to purely go by the Shastra only. The Shastra is very clear. Bhagavan is very clear here. He says there is only one Kshetri. There is only one Kshetrajnaha. And that Kshetri is the one who lights up all the Kshetras. Kritsnam Kshetram Prakashayati Bharata. And even in the 15th chapter also he says again, Yada Dityagatam Tejaha Jagadbhasayate Khilam Yachandramasi Yachagnav Tat Tejo Vidhi Mamakam. So even whatever light is there in the Surya, Yada Dityagatam Tejaha, correct? Jagadbhasayate Khilam, Akhilam Jagadbhasayate, that which lights up this entire world, and that the light which is there in Chandra, Yachandramasi Yachagnav, and whatever light is there in the Agni also, all this light is my light only, he says. Tattejo Vidhi Mamakam. All these lights know that it is my light. It is a Chaitanya only lights up everything finally, correct? It is my light. There is only one light which is lighting up all these things. So there are many reflecting media, but there is only one sun. That is the kind of analogy we have to understand. The body mind sense complex are many, but there is only one Chaitanya. And once that Chaitanya becomes the Vijnana Maya or the individual consciousness, means it becomes localized. It becomes identified with a particular body mind sense complex, and the body mind sense complex itself appears as though it is conscious, and based on that only all Vyavahara is happening. Atma itself does not do anything. Understand that. That is what we have to understand here. So Yadadityagatam Tejaha also he has quoted. Then what? Nityo Anityanam Chetanas Chetananam iti cha Katake. In Katopanishad also it is there. So this Atma is the eternal one, invariable one amongst all the things which are changing. Correct? In each and every cognition, the invariable is this Chaitanya. And is also it is the Chetanaha Chetananam. Whatever you think is sentient, correct? There are so many sentient beings, but in all of them, this is the consciousness. There is only one consciousness, this Atma, which appears as the sentiency in all the sentient beings. Chetanas Chetananam. Then there is this other, this is a famous one we chant during even the Arati, correct? न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. So this comes in Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad also. So tameva bhantam, this Atma alone shines. Everything else shines after. Anubhati sarvam. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. The light of this Atma alone lights up all the things which are here. Like this, it is said even in the other Upanishads. And he is also quoting Taittiriya Brahmanam here. Yena suryaha tapati tejasedhaha. So, by which this sun shines, by which heat or whatever, by which Shakti, the fuel, this sun shines. That is this Atma alone. That is the meaning here also. Taittiriya Brahmanam. Itija mantra varnaha. So, tena ayam hridyantar jyotihi purushaha akashavat sarvagatatvat purnaha iti purushaha. So from this whatever this Atma alone is within this, when we say within this Hridaya, it is inside in the intellect, and it is the Purusha also, correct? The Purusha is there you can see here. Praneshu Vijnanamayaha Hridyantar Jyotihi. We have finished now. Bhashya. Now Purusha. So the Atma is Puranat Purusha, Bhashyakara says. Akashavat Sarvagatatvad, it is like the space everywhere. So that's what. Since we said Hridyantar or Praneshu and all that, you should not mistake that the Atma is there only within the body. That's not the idea, correct? When we say it is there in, it is only in the meaning of availability, or it is manifest there. It obtains there. That's all. It doesn't mean it is not there somewhere else. It is there everywhere. That's why immediately Upanishad itself uses the word Purusha to clarify that Atma is everywhere. Yeah. Akashavat sarvagatatvat purnaha iti purusha puranat purushaha. Okay. That is one etymology of purna word itself. Sorry, purusha word. And niratishayam cha asya swayam jyotishtam. So it is itself luminosity is niratishayam means what? It is incomparable. It cannot be compared with anything else because it is the one which is lighting up everything, correct? And sarva avbhasakatvat swayam anyan avabhasyatvat. So why it is niratishayam? Why there is something nothing like this? Means it is the one which shines, which lights up everything. That way you can say sun also lights up everything. But the other thing is what? Swayam anyan avabhasyatvat. Okay, swayam anya anavabhasyatvat we can say. That is the right meaning here. Swayam anya anavabhasyam means what? But it itself is not lighted up by anything. Sun, moon and all is still known by consciousness alone. Correct? Still they are all lighted up by the consciousness. But consciousness itself is not lighted up by anything else, or it doesn't require anything else to be known. It is self-revealing, self-existent reality. Swayam anya anavabhasyatvam is there for the Atma. And it reveals itself and it reveals everything else. Therefore, it is niratishayam. It is incomparable. It is unique. This self-illumining, self-luminous Atma, it is unique. It is incomparable to anything else. And Sayesha Purushaha Swayameva Jyotis Swabhavaha. And this Purusha, this Atma is Swayameva Jyotis Swabhava means what? Its very nature is this consciousness. Again, consciousness should not be understood as some quality and all that. Even though we use all these different words, these words are all Lakshana, revealing words. They reveal the nature of Atma. So consciousness, Chaitanyam and all, when we say Satchit, Ananda, they are not three qualities sticking in Atma or anything like that. These words reveal the very nature of Atma. There is only one Atma and it is of all this, it is of this nature. That's what we have to understand. So, Swayameva Jyoti Swabhavaha Yantvam Prichasi, and now that's what you asked. I have answered. Katamaha Atmeti. So you asked amongst this, what is the Atma? This Atma is separate from body, mind, sense complex, and it is Chaitanya Swarupa, and it is available in your intellect. Okay, that is the answer here. Okay, then he goes into some more, he still explains, and then he goes into Buddhas. So previous one, Bhashyakara took on the Charvakas, then the rest of the Bhashya here is taking on the Vijnanavadis. Because the Buddhist also, they say that one Madhyamika says that everything is Shunya, but the other Buddhists are all accepting that consciousness is flickering consciousness, Kshanika Vijnana. In fact, they mistake the Buddhi Vritti to be consciousness, and they argue that the subject is Kshanika Vijnana alone, but that is not true. The Vedantin does not accept the Vijnanavada. So Vedantin says that whatever is Shanika is really the Buddhi Vritti. The modifications in your mind are all momentary, they come and go. But the Swarupa Jnanam is separate. That is Atma. Atma cannot be Kshanika, in fact. If Atma itself is Kshanika, then many memory and all will not be possible. Bhashyakara will argue that. So, in fact, again with the Buddhist also, we cannot argue based on the Shruti. It has to be entirely based on only Anumana, correct? Only logic. We have to show them they are illogical. That's all we have to do. because we don't have to establish anything using logic. Forest Shruti itself is Pramana. But we can show where they are wrong using logic. In fact, logic we use a lot only for that purpose, to show that every other view is illogical. Our view can be beyond logic, because for us Shruti is the Pramana. We are not depending on logic to establish anything. Is that clear? That also we have to be clear. So here you will be taking on the Buddhist, after giving the meaning, some more meaning he has to give, correct, that it is going Sasamanaha San and all that. We will see all that hopefully after 2 weeks, because the next 2 weeks I'm not available. Okay, so we'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.